Hi, I'm Mitch Gallagher from Sweetwater. I'm coming to you from Studio B here at Sweetwater. We're with Mike Miller, Candace Kendall. You guys have been working on an incredible project here that I want to get into, but man, what a track record you have. Lil Nas X, Daughtry, Harry Styles, the Young Thug, the list just goes on and on and on. You've been digging deep into this immersive thing.
Yeah, thank you. I've been working pretty hard on this.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
So how did you get started doing that work?
A few of my friends have been kind of telling me about it for a few years, and I got to experience it, and it was pretty mind-blowing, the difference just being, immersed in the music, and I thought that it was, could potentially be like a big step forward in the music industry and just digesting music. And Apple came out with spatial audio, and then I was thinking that, that the music and the tech are both kind of making this big step forward where it could potentially really change the way that we do everything in the music industry.
Sure.
I saw that as an amazing opportunity and also just a really good change in the right direction. So,
Right.
I also got to witness when he first went to an Atmos room and started working with the software and everything, how much fun he had.
Yeah.
And to me, that was something where I'm like, you should go down this route.
Right.
it is fun, yeah.
Yeah, it's a whole new palette to work with, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it just expands everything.
Yeah.
So were you doing a lot of mixes in stereo before that? Were you
Yes.
primarily a mix engineer?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely a mixer, doing stereo. Basically, opening, like you said, just like opening up this big canvas where you can just do so much more and have so much more room. And, to me, music the purpose is to like emotionally connect with people. And this just allows you on like such a larger scale to do that. That's to me, that's the point. So when I'm mixing and trying to bring out a song and have the highest potential of it to connect, this is like times 50 of what stereo can do.
Right.
So
Right.
that was really, really exciting for me. And the fact that the way that I like to hear music is easier to accomplish in a much larger scale like this. Mm-hmm. So.
And the artists have been feeling that way too. They come to the room and some of them are getting teary-eyed. They're saying, how do I go back to two speakers after this?
Right.
Yeah.
And it's translating in the headphones too. So people are getting, everyday people who have the AirPods and don't have an Atmos room, they're getting to experience that emotional connection as well when it's actually translating from what Mike's doing. It translates and gives that emotion.
Yeah, right. So tell us a little bit about how you transition from stereo to the full Atmos experience. Do you have a formula where you're like, kick drum's always going to be in the back and snare's going to be overhead or whatever? Obviously you wouldn't do that, but...
There are some things that I figured out. So basically, when I went on this kind of journey, I realized that one of the things that would really set me apart is if I figured out how to mix for spatial audio. And that's really what I've been pushing because Apple as a company is just, amazing. And to me, this is just the very beginning, and I'm sure they have like this amazing, next step, like 50 next steps that we're not even aware of. And spatial audio was like a huge, if I could make spatial audio sound great, that's what I want. So I figured out certain things in the room where like how it translates to spatial audio, and I will go about that. But then besides that, the song kind of just takes me where I'm going with it. And
Right.
I think that getting more producers involved too, like bringing producers to the studio and them hearing it, that's the next step of this whole experience, because that is a huge part of their job too as a producer. Like where does this go? How do I want this to change how I'm feeling, or shift my focus in a certain way? So I'm really excited for that to be happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So at this point, is it being driven by the artist? Is it the labels that are requesting the Atmos mixes, or how is that process working?
Well, in the beginning, it was basically Apple forcing everyone to do it because everyone wants, Apple was like, we're doing this, it's awesome. And then the label's like, okay, sure, we're going to do it too.
Right.
So it's been that kind of the labels reaching out, and now the producers and the artists are reaching out as well now too, because we've gotten it to a point where it's like a great different experience where your song can be brought out more and it can be a bigger, better mix. So it's been really exciting to see that.
Mm-hmm.
And since Apple is making the Atmos mix the default mix that people first hear, the producers and everyone involved really care what people are going to hear now. So they want to make sure it's in good hands. So instead of just the labels, now we also have producers and artists coming to us requesting because they want the song to sound how they want it to be.
Yeah, sure. And of course, it's important for the labels to drive that, but I think the artists actually getting involved and wanting to hear their stuff that way is really going to probably drive the artistic side of it more so.
And that's what is that's the next step to this, which is really exciting because in general, this is, in my opinion, the next step forward in music, and it's. Like I said, it's just the beginning, and I think that having the artists and the producers in is what is going to drive it even more forward because it's their vision coming to life on a bigger scale as well. So it's really exciting.
So I was checking out pictures of one of your studios in LA Atmosphere.
Yeah.
I love that it's just clean and I mean you're focused, right?
Yeah.
I mean there's a little bit of outboard gear and things, and you've got another room in LA and you're building a room in New York. Is that right?
Yes. Yep.
And so, how are you working 3 rooms? Are you working in all of them? Do you have other people using them?
I mostly work in the main studio, the Atmosphere, and I have another studio. I have 2 assistants and some mixers underneath me for stuff because we've just been getting flooded with work, and we got some great people on our team working with us, and it's the whole thing has just been like such an amazing experience, like going from. I had a studio in New York and in LA mixing stereo, and then all of a sudden I go into Atmos and it just starts, blowing up, and I get to like bring my friends in on projects. I get to work with my friends. We get to co-mix. We get to bring other mixers on that I really believe on that might not have like the ability to get like big cuts and like, big, like mixing big records that get, that kind of notoriety. Like I can bring them in and help me. It's been really an amazing process to be doing that.
Right.
Yeah.
And of course now you're here in Sweetwater Studio B, our new Atmos room. What do you think? What's your impression so far of the studio?
It sounds great. I mean, you got my favorite speakers, PMCs.
Right.
You got the best gear.
We've got a whole array of Hazel rig there.
Yes,
right? That's pretty cool.
Yeah, we've been doing a lot of work. I mean, I can't work without that stuff. So yeah, and they've been super unbelievably supportive in my career since the beginning. Just getting me what I need because once you hear it, you're like, how am I supposed to do anything without it? So
I've witnessed that difference, getting the speakers, the gear, and then finding what works and what he needs for every song.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So how are you incorporating the analog gear into the mix? Or in particular, it looks like you have compressors over here.
So there's the V&E and the VLC. The V&E is the compressor, and the VLC is a preamp and EQ. But I don't record anything. So like I sometimes forget that they're also like preamps to record, and they're like the best preamps. But basically, I have them as hardware inserts in Pro Tools, and they just bring the life out of everything. It just stuff just starts coming out of the speakers. Even like it's really unbelievable the difference. And then also it really helps with if something's mixed in stereo first. You have to like carve a lot of things out for it to fit in the mix. And then when you bring it out, it can sound small and tiny because you have so much more room. Your canvas is so much bigger in Atmos. And that helps me bring everything back into the sound.
Nice.
And bring all the richness back and the full tone of everything. And I use that a lot. I could have like 60 of them in a rack.
Yeah, right. Yeah, especially with all the different objects and things you can mix with in Atmos.
Exactly, yeah.
So speaking of preamps and tracking,
yes.
I know you said you don't record much, but you actually are doing a project here at Sweetwater where you're tracking specifically for Atmos.
Yes. We're producing and tracking specifically for the intention of Atmos. We're in both rooms. We have mics set up around the live room and in the racquetball court. And we're having people perform in Studio A and getting all the mics and setting them around the room, which has really been unbelievable. And then we're reamping in the racquetball court,
right?
And it's a very different experience because having this mindset to begin with creates an even more immersive, It's just, again, the next step towards the evolution of this music industry. I really believe that. It allows you so that you can pan the main source anywhere you want in the room, but still have it being featured in around you. So
Right.
you don't lose it. Like if you want to pan something farther back or farther, whatever way, you don't lose it in a different part of the room. So it still feels like no matter what, you're getting it all around you. And
Right.
you really feel even more immersed in the middle of the song.
Right. That's so cool.
Yeah.
So Studio A is set up with this tracking system.
Yes.
There are tile lines coming here to Studio B, so you can actually monitor this.
Yes, we're monitoring in both rooms.
Right.
Yeah, and we call the people in there Team Stereo, and this is Team Atmos. Yeah.
What is the project you're working on?
It's for Tyler Lindsay.
Uh-huh.
He's a close friend of mine. He also works with me,
Nice.
with us.
Right.
And he's awesome. And then the Hazel Riggs are here. They're geniuses.
Incredible musicians.
Unbelievable musicians and engineers. They have the craziest ears. That's how they made that stuff, I guess, in the first place. But
Right.
it's been awesome. It's really,
And
really
then
fun.
Sean and Jason here at the studio, they've been
Yes, shout
dealing
out.
with our shenanigans and, miking up the racquetball court, which was so fun.
They haven't kicked me out yet, so that's cool. Yeah.
Man, I can't wait to hear that. As far as I know, that's got to be one of the first music projects that's actually been tracked for Atmos.
I think so. I've been seeing this whole movement, this next thing, as an opportunity for people to kind of be the first at something or do something that can catapult them past where they would have been able to get to beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard in stereo because people have established themselves and they're always going to be those guys, And now that there's this new platform, there's opportunity for new people to move past, and that's really what I wanted to do and the risk that I took, so that I could make something even more out of my career that, than I would have been able to if we didn't have this. So now that we're mixing in Atmos and I'm mixing for spatial audio and if that's all going so well, what's the next thing that we can push boundaries on? What's the next step that we can kind of like involve in this that isn't being done yet? And I mean, maybe it is. I don't know about it.
Yeah,
but
I haven't heard either. So that
Definitely
yeah.
could be the first.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we could be. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that it's just the next level of it. And I think Sweetwater having us here and doing this whole thing is really cool. This is an amazing place.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, it's not your first time here. You actually stopped in once before.
Yeah, quickly, not a trip like this, but yeah.
Well, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Well, we're glad to have you guys here. You've been here most of the week.
Yes.
Working on this, and you're heading out, I think, this afternoon
Yes.
after we wrap things up. But man, I can't wait to hear the tracks. I can't
Yeah.
wait to hear the
Can't wait for you to hear it,
finished
too.
project. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's
Definitely.
awesome.
Thanks so much for coming in. It's been
Yeah.
a real pleasure having you here and
Thanks for having us.
taking your time to sit down with us. And
Yeah, absolutely.
safe travels back home to LA.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
All right, great to see you.
You too.
You too.
And thanks for joining me here in Studio B at Sweetwater. Been with Mike and Candace. We've been talking about Atmos. You got to check out the tracks. Super cool stuff. I'm Mitch Gallagher from Sweetwater.